The farthest from my house we get is like 3 hours. From my house. That's
Your
South
wife could
Georgia.
literally just come pick you up. You know, if something breaks, like, hey, can you come pick me up?
Call somebody, phone a friend. Yeah.
We can take an Uber to the house and go back and get the vehicle. You know, like,
Yeah.
It's great. And being in the backyard is nice. But I feel like they have some stuff going on by you out in Arkansas now.
There's a couple, yeah, and I mean, I can't even keep up anymore, man. There's a million drag and drives now. Like when I did my first one in 2015, and the only two were Drag Week and Rocky Mountain Race Week had just started the year before in 2014. Mm-hmm. So it's like those were the only two, and now there's like 2 every week.
Yeah, you can go anywhere in the country, just throw a dart and pick where you're at and go from there, which makes it great, but also kind of dilutes it a little bit.
So it's like me and Jason from Tin Soldiers, we've talked about this a million times. It's like the history repeating itself, different class. You know, X275 has its day, frontside no prep has its time, backside no prep has its time, drag and drive, you know, street car takeover, that style of stuff. Like, I think that'll always be here to stay, but it grows and goes down. Like, it's just this roller coaster of popularity, and it just, I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, we're in definitely the boom, I would say, of it.
Yeah.
And it's great to be, you know, in the right place, right time, I guess, because we kind of missed like early radial stuff, and that was like when it was slow and reasonable. Now it's like, all right, I guess I don't go 340s on a radial, so I ain't shit.
Exactly. I know. Like, what are you supposed to do? You got to have millions. It takes millions.
Oh, yeah. Like a car like Garrett's Eagle, like that is a millions of dollars car to own and operate.
Yep. That's what it takes.
Yeah, people don't even think about after even building it, what it takes to even just operate
Finish
the thing.
it, yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, having the crew with you to go places, that's another hard thing. Having the people to actually go and help you. And
it's $1,000 to enter a race for you and your crew. It's a lot of money.
You see it all the time where it's like a car gets finished and it's like for sale.
Yeah.
Because they bring it to the track once and then they're like, whoa, this was not as fun as my street car.
No.
I don't think I'm not all for this.
That's why, and it's weird because like, especially being around Dennis and Alex, Dennis is a build it person, and like that's what makes him so special. And I love building stuff, but financially it's like, I would rather buy a finished race car because you get it for pennies on a dollar. Yeah. It's like, it's not a wise financial investment, but it's way more wise than paying somebody to build a fully custom car. It's like,
I've seen it bite people in the ass pretty bad too, though, if they don't know what they're looking at and they're like, look at all the cage sold.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
well, this
he might have sold it for a different reason.
Yeah.
He might have been
those bars are in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I saw it happen a few times. I think one of them is, not to call him out too much, but Finnegan got that Lexus.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that
having
needs
it all cut out.
a lot more work to get finished than what he imagined it would take. Mm-hmm. And not that he doesn't know what he's looking at, but like, it's a drag car. It's you got to really know.
Yep.
I wouldn't know what I'm looking at. I'd be like, oh, bars, cage, firewall, cool.
Well, say you buy a roller and it's got a mid plate and all that set, and you're like, wow, this all, even if it is good work, but it's set up for a 2J instead of something else. You're like, okay, well, the mid plate doesn't work, so the firewall doesn't work, so then the front plate's not going to work. Like the whole K member's too low or too high or whatever. It's like, now you got to pay just as much money to have it redone than you did just to do it to something in the first place.
And then you show up to your chassis shop and they're like, cool, we'll pencil you in for 2027. See you then.
That's the hardest part, man. It's if you do good work now, if you're not a total POS, you're backlogged for a long time.
Well, all the really good shops are trying to get out of doing chassis work, like Tin Soldier.
Yep, parts production.
Yeah,
that's where the money's at, man.
But people are probably begging them, like, please work on my car because no one else
It's hard to find good work.
To.
Yep. I see a lot of not hateful, but kind of spiteful comments. I don't know how so-and-so got their car in there. I called and they said they don't do work anymore. It's like, yeah, because they don't do work anymore. They do work on their friends' cars, but they're not taking on new work. And I don't know, some people don't understand it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they'll help their team out.
Well, and then you get to pick and choose at that point too. You know what I'm saying? Like that's one of those things. You get out of it. Okay, we'll just bring in 1 or 2 cars a year to build and do that because they're like us. You know, they build cars. They're never gonna not build cars. They enjoy building cars. I
don't build cars. I mean, we used to work together, and I had a fab shop, and it's like it's hard to have a fab shop. It's hard to bill enough hours to be a successful fab shop unless you have a whole crew of guys turning out cars, and it's a very well-oiled system to make good money, and the money's in parts. So then when people go from building cars to parts, all the people that want you to build their cars, they don't understand why you don't want to build their cars anymore.
Well, there's like no hourly estimate that's going to really be accurate. And then when you show up and you're like, yeah, it was 20 hours. And it's like, well, you put one bar in. It's like, yeah, it was 20 hours.
I had to move all this stuff to get to the one bar. It took me 5 minutes to cut this tab, but then this tab didn't fit just right, and I wanted it to look good and all that. So it took me 5 hours to do this.
And I had to make a tool.
Yeah.
That took time. And it's like, oh, man.
Well, then the other way, too, you get in there and the experience, it takes you 2 hours, and you want to charge them $600. And you're like, well, you only put 2 hours into my car. Why is it so much? Like, dude, you either bitch that it's too long or you don't that it's too short. Like, what do you want from me? It's rough.
It's always a give and take. That's why I'm glad I'm not in that realm anymore. I enjoyed doing it, but
guys, thank you for tuning in to the Bogetti Clips YouTube channel. For the full podcast, check us out on Bogetti Studios YouTube and all your audio platforms. Also, hit that subscribe button to not miss out on any of the new Bogetti clips coming up.